Coming up, Supreme Court weighs Chicago's strict gun ban, ABC News. There's an AP report here. Supreme Court scrutinizes state local gun control. The gun grabbers are in here saying this may be good for us. We'll explain why. Coming up, I'm also going to get into some other important news that we haven't even covered yet, like green fuels cause more harm than fossil fuels, according to report. This out of the London Times. Now, we already knew this. So why is the UN pushing it? Because they know it caused tens of millions, that's a conservative number, of more people to starve to death in the last 5 years per year than previously were. Over 1 billion people are living on the edge of starvation, ladies and gentlemen. Our poorest live like kings compared to people in many areas of Africa, Asia, and Latin America. So we're going to be breaking that down coming up as well. I talked about some of this in the first hour, and we discussed it as well in the second with Mike Rivero. But I want to really flesh this out for people. How do we get the word out to the public that it's the private central banks bringing in the green tyranny, the fake environmentalism, the taxing system, the Bank of the World, the global government that engineered the financial collapse, that have built the big government so they could get us into debt and control us? How do we get the word out to the people that it's worse than they even know? The average person knows the economy's falling apart, but do they know in the last month, every week, 496,000 jobs were lost. That's almost 2 million in a month. 1,800,000. That is so incredible, and that's from CNN. We have oil starting to go back up in price and other commodities because the central banks that met in secret 3 weeks ago in Australia are in a concerted, coordinated operation to lower currencies in tandem so that the public doesn't notice it as much. Just like if the Mexican peso started going down, the dollar goes down with it, so you don't notice overall that, hey, my dollar isn't worth as much next to the peso. We've got gold at a 6-week high of $1,125.50, and it's trending up even higher in its futures market. What the different markets are saying it'll be in the days and weeks to come. And then I've got articles here. You know, you've heard Obama and others say, oh, we're going to give you all this free health care, but, oh, we've got to pass this to cut back on health care cost. And then you see all these big insurance stock owners running around like the owner of Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, saying we need this government health care. And then when Obama said, oh, looks like we may pass it in the next few weeks, it went back up again. All the major insurance companies, medical insurance companies, stock went up because this is a legislation written by them. And simultaneously, it's being reported all over the country, Medicare payment reductions worry doctors' patients. This is out of St. Petersburg, News 9. March begins with a financial blow for doctors who are facing major reduction of Medicare payments. Give me a document cam on that for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. The 21% reduction is the result of what some say is an outdated reimbursement formula from the 1990s. Over the years, Congress managed to waive the deficit reduction measure, but legislatures failed to repeal it last week. And then similar things are happening all over the country. This is very, very serious. And so I wanted to get Ted Anderson up before we go to your calls for a few minutes, because over the weekend, the headline was IMF chief Strauss-Kahn says new global currency, end of the dollar. But dollar dominance. You'll still have a dollar. You'll still have a euro. You'll still have a pound. You'll still have a yuan. You'll still have a yen. But under this new global charter that Gordon Brown talked about 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, Prime Minister of England, it's a charter where the banks that have taken over our nations openly sign agreements with each other, and executive agreements, unelected, unaccountable agreements, with the heads of the G20 and 4 other separate central banks. There's G20, but there's 4 others that met, so it's 24 total. I mean, this is a revolution of the banking structure now coming out and setting up open government to shut off economies and bankrupt society for a post-industrial world or neo-feudalism, serfdom. Guys, pull up the definition of neo-feudalism or serfdom for me. I want to read that before Ted leaves us here in the next 10 minutes or so. Ted Anderson, you know, you're here obviously to promote gold. I've shopped all over. A few times I bought silver a decade ago from other people, but you've always had the best deals. And you bought gold when it was $1,050. It's now $1,125 and rising. And I just think it's so important for people to take advantage of what you do, because you buy it when it dips, and then you still sell it at the lower price when it goes up until you run out of supplies. Then you do things like give people a year subscription for free when they make one coin order of 1/5 of an ounce franc. I don't know if you can still offer that, but I didn't talk to you before we went on air, but you're with us. But I first wanted you to talk about your view, 30 years in the economy, in the gold and silver brokerage business, what you see happening. Because we've been right again. We've been predicting all of this, Ted.
Yeah, you're right about that, Alex. And there is, right now, the Europeans are watching gold go up. They've never seen it this high before. By the way, it is hitting a peak that they have never seen. And the reason why that is because there was a rally here just a short time ago on the U.S. dollar against the euro when Greece was in trouble. And now the dollar is starting to slip back again. And gold right now did jump over that 1125. It's at 1137.30 right now, and it's seen as high as 1139. So it's really moving upwards.
Oh, I didn't know that. So since I looked 2 hours ago, it went to 1,139.
It's definitely running right now, Alex. And for the British pound, and for people that are trading in the European unit.
That's right. The Times of London said 3 days ago the pound may crash in the next month.
Yeah, well, they're looking at a peak on gold that they've never seen before. And we'd be seeing it right now in the U.S. dollar, too, except for we had this little rally.
Let's explain that. England and Europe are seeing the highest level of gold ever, but we're only seeing it go up some because it's all about currencies. Currencies go down. The gold didn't really go up in price. Your currency's turning into toilet paper.
Yep, that's exactly what's happening. And you look at Bloomberg, Reuters. I mean, there's a whole long list of news agencies out there, and they're all saying the same thing. Like here's Bloomberg's headline right here. It says gold climbs to record in pound, euro as investors seek haven. Here's one from Reuters. Gold gains in New York on an alternative investment to currencies. Here's another one from Reuters right here. Gold extends gains as dollar swings lower. The dollar's dropping right now, Alex, and that's going to drive gold prices up for us here in the United States. It just happens to be that everybody else in the Western world is watching the gold prices increase, and they've now seen a peak that's never been seen before.
And by the way, Bob Chapman was just saying 2 weeks ago that in 2 weeks it would go up. I don't know how he knows this.
Well, you know, Bob Chapman's pretty darn sharp, and I can tell you he can see what's going on, what's developing better than a lot of other people can, because they're not brainwashed in thinking that the economy is going to be great forever. Just all you got to do is take a look at the fundamental reasons why gold and silver go up and down, and realize what's going on when you see a country like Greece failing, and then they're asking the United States and the European Union to step in and bail them out. You know that there's trouble there.
And what you've got is J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and others, this is even in mainstream Reuters, gobbling up different countries so that they don't scare everybody to implode at once. They pick us off like wolves pick off sheep, one at a time, in wolf packs. And we saw the leader of the Democrats, that's up on prisonplanet.com, come out today and say the U.S. could crash like Greece. I mean, this is getting crazier and crazier. Here's the headline. House Majority Leader, Greek debt crisis can happen here. But then he holds everybody hostage and says, accept higher taxes to the banks or they will lower our AAA bond rating. I mean, we are held hostage by these people. The only way you individually, in my opinion, get some type of protection from this is gold and silver. I mean, it's so fundamental.
It really is. Gold and silver has been money for 6,000 years. And what you're watching is this pawn game against this fiat currency that is going to grow weaker every day because we continue to rely on the printing press to bail out our problems. You cannot continue to increase money supply without having a loss in purchasing power. I mean, it's just that's the way that the world works. And if you know that, and you see the United States government or the Federal Reserve System, I mean, for goodness sakes, they're trying to bail out Goldman Sachs' investments that they have sitting in Greece. I mean, what more does the taxpayer of the United States have to take on?
Ted, absolutely, Ted. It's incredible. Fire out the offers for folks.
Yeah, right now what we have is we have the franc. They've edged up a little bit in price. They're at 261.61. But that's still, if you buy one of those, you'll get a full year subscription to the International Forecaster, and that brings it down to $510 per ounce. That, I mean, you'd have to go back to the middle 1990s to be able to buy gold at $510 an ounce. That's just a steal.
You mean the middle 2000s?
I'm sorry, yeah, middle 2000s.
Time flies. And then expanding on that, what if folks don't just want one franc? And that's the best deal ever. You've got great deals on a lot of other coins.
Oh,